Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm back with my December daily. And one of the things that I decided to do was to start combining the days because I fell a little behind because I had to work 50 hours last week. And then we had a whole weekend of hockey tournament, which was great because it meant lots of pictures. But the downside of that is I didn't get to keep up on my days. But that's no problem. I figured if I do a couple every day, I should be caught up by the end of the week, no problem. And then I had a few questions whether or not I was going to either show my whole album at the end with the pictures in it or whether I was going to do some videos adding the pictures. I will have videos adding the pictures, and at the end I also like to do an album flip through because seeing it in the album I find is so different because you actually get to see, one page after another, and then you kind of get to see the transition of all the different colors that I use throughout the album. So adding the pictures will be sort of treated the same way as I'm doing the days now. I'm combining a couple of days. What I'm going to try to do is try to keep the videos so that they're about 15 to 25 minutes long. It just depends how long it takes me to put the pictures in each page. And I think those I will do in real time, and then I can kind of talk about our days as I go through them. But let's talk a little bit about day 11. I'm still doing each day separately. It's just going to be in the same video. But the fun thing is, at the spot that I am right now, you're going to see the two pages that are facing each other. So therefore, it's going to have the same color theme, but you'll see them in the same video. So for day 11 and day 12, I decided to go with the red and the green. So I went through a lot of my pattern papers from my 6x6 pattern paper collections. I'm trying to use a little bit more of those up, but also in my container that I keep a lot of the 12x12 sticker sheet and some of the pattern papers. I have kind of a little collection of cards, and I decided to go through that. They were Christmas cards that I didn't end up using in previous years, and I did find 3 or 4 this time that kind of went with the colors. So there's the Believe in the Christmas of Magic. Then the other one was kind of a grid card, and at the top it said 'Tis the Season. Then there was another one that had just the word December, and there's a spot that you can write down everything that you did for that week from Monday to Saturday. And then there was another one that had 2 little ornaments. Then another pre-made card that I ended up using is the one with the hollies, and then I just put a 2x2 mat in front of it. So I did end up using quite a few of some of these pre-made cards, and then the rest, or actually the one at the bottom too, is just lined, red line kind of writing paper. So I ended up using quite a bit of 3x4 cards and 4x6 cards, and that felt really good because they were just sitting there being unused, and I'm on day 12 and I hadn't used any of pre-made cards up to now. And to tell you the truth, I don't know where I got these cards, whether they came in like kits or something like that, but I'm just happy that I get to use them. So that was day 11, and surprisingly, day 11 took me 15 minutes to put together. I have to say that I'm not being as heavy-handed on the embellishments. The main thing is to get these into my albums and get some pictures on it. Now for day 12, I also found a few more cards that I was able to use. There's the very top one to the top left that says Dear Santa, and then the one over top of that, I'm pretty sure that was from, I want to say maybe Studio Calico, maybe one of those December daily kits that you can buy. And it had all these cards that had sort of like circles, and they came in different colors, and that's the perfect place to put your date. So that's where I'm going to put day 12, is within that circle. Now the bottom right card with the poinsettias, that's also a pre-made card. And then the card right above that with the banner Joy, that was also a pre-made card. So I ended up using 4 pre-made cards on this layout too. And the rest is just pattern papers that I cut up. Like I mentioned in a previous video, a lot of the pattern papers for the last few days were actually 12 by 12 patterns that I just cut apart. And because when I was looking through my 6 by 6, I didn't have a lot of blues and a lot of pinks and a lot of the different colors that I wanted to use. But where I decided to use the green and the red in this case, there was a ton left of green and reds. So I'm not going to go and use my 12 by 12 patterns when I can use my 6 by 6 in this case. Now in the next few days, I'm anxiously waiting. During the Black Friday sale, Simon Says Stamp had a sale, and I think it was 15% off or 20% off. I can't remember. But Simon Says Stamp is an online store that they don't have very often any sales. So I was like, oh, you know what? Go check to see if there's anything that you can find. And I did find a few Christmas things like puffy stickers and that kind of stuff. So I'm anxiously awaiting those. But you know what? If it doesn't come before I finish putting my December daily together, that's okay. I'll just put it in. I have 2 drawers in my craft room that I specifically put Christmassy stuff in it. So I'll just put everything back in that drawer. And then next year when I start, building my December daily again, I'll have all new stuff. But I have to say, if it does come in before I finish, I'm definitely going to break into them this year. I didn't buy any 6 by 6 pattern papers. I didn't realize how low I was until I got quite a bit into my December daily, and then I was like, whoa, you don't have a lot of, these specific colors. And I was kind of going back and forth whether or not I was going to be buying stuff this year, but I decided to wait till next year and try to use up a lot of what I have. And one of the things that I've had in my stash for a few years are these rub-ons from Chamel. And these things, man, if you don't use them, when they're kind of new, they don't work very well. And you can tell, like the last little 2 light bulbs, they didn't scratch off, like they didn't rub off. So eventually towards the end of the video, I'm going to end up putting a few little snowflakes there just to kind of, pretend that the snowflakes is covering the rest of the light string, that it didn't, it's covering the light string, kind of pretend, But I didn't know what else to do, because rub-ons, once you've rubbed it on to your page, you're kind of committed. I've tried before taking an eraser, and you can somewhat erase it, but I didn't want to risk it. I thought, you'll just figure out something else. But the Santa that was on the Chamel sheet, so on the same rub-on sheet, that rubbed off really well. And then I had that Christmas present. I'm going to end up cutting it in 2, and that rubbed off really well. So I'm not really sure how it's possible that on the same rub-on sheet that some of them don't work. Oh, and yes, this Merry Christmas, the blocks, that rubbed off really well. So there was only that string of lights that didn't rub off well. So, and I ended up figuring out something to kind of, trick the eye. And then I did end up using a few things from the December daily class that I did a few years ago. You can find the link to the description in the description box below to all my classes. But I had done a class for December daily, and 2 or 3 videos was kind of dedicated to making your own embellishments. And I had done these trees right here that you see with the card that says Joy. I had done some other trees, some stamp trees, and some little banners, and the little sock, the red sock at the top. And I'm really digging into that stash this year and making sure that I'm using a lot of these embellishments that I created a few years ago. But I always find that when I first start off my December daily, like the pages, the embellishments, it's just like embellishments galore, like all over the place. And I'm using tons of layers and all this stuff. And then it's like, as you get into your album, it's like, okay, but each page was taking me like an hour, an hour and a half. This is way too long. And it's just as cute. It doesn't need, a ton of embellishments, as long as each little card has a little bit of embellishments, and then you add the photo. And then once I add the photos, I always add like a little caption, like little word caption, and I really like that. Like in this case, I'll probably use some white tiny sticker letters, and then I'll put a few things about what I did that day, which I think this is day 12. So day 12, I worked. That's what I did that day. And then at the end of the day after work, I did manage to go see Mason at his hockey practice. But I hope you enjoyed this new format of having more than one day put together. Just because I was thinking about it, it's going to be like 31 videos. So this way, we're halfway through. So instead of having 15, or in this case, like 17 more videos, it'll be maybe 8 more videos with at least 2 or 3 days. And this second day, day 12, took me 30 minutes to put together. So I really think that every day is just so different depending on how you're kind of feeling. This was my second page that I was putting together, so you would think that I would have been a little faster, but if anything, I was just a little slower. That's it. That's going to complete day 11 and day 12, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.